You know, years ago I was told, if you want a friend in politics, buy a dog. Now, it's not about a case of, having the companionship of a dog. It's about the loyalty of a dog. That's really what it's about. And loyalty is really a missing component in a lot of political discussion. It's very sad. Now, the ADF and the current serving members of the ADF and our veterans of the past, their family, their friends, their supporters, I guess that's most Australians, we deserve better than we've been getting over the last few weeks. The loyalty that's been missing. Australians deserve much, much better. It is about, as I've talked a lot on this program over the years, the principles, the character, the values that are important to decision makers, or should be important to decision makers. I think they're better understood by everyday Australians than many of the people who are in our parliaments and in positions of power, including people in the bureaucracy, in our courts and so forth. Values, character, those things are really important. Our leaders, for instance, seem to have forgotten many of the lessons of the Cold War. Now, for those playing at home, the Cold War was the period after the end of the Second World War to really the time when Ronald Reagan said to Mikhail Gorbachev, Ronald Reagan was the President of the United States. I guess I've got to go through this. It's 40 years ago. I suppose people forget. But he said, tear down that wall. It was the Berlin Wall, the wall that cut Berlin in half. It was the symbol of the Cold War, the East versus the West. Now, many of the lessons of the Cold War was really about having the strength to commit to a conflict if you needed to, because you stood on principles, you stood on values, you stood on that sense of freedom. Absolutely key to our democracies. So I look at the lessons of the Cold War and wonder why in recent weeks there's been this absolute disgrace of not standing by our troops. In the past it would have been a sackable offence, and it may well be, with plenty of pressures, and rightly so, on senior leadership in the Australian Defence Force, people who've been advising the Minister and, frankly, setting up the Minister and the Prime Minister to fall into the trap that they themselves snared themselves in. I think Australia needs a sense of strength. We need to have real purpose. We need those values. We need that character. There is a real test that's before us right now. And if we show weakness in the face of a bully, our biggest threat, China apparently, they're controlling the United Nations. Nothing happens in the United Nations unless China agrees. The World Health Organization unless China agrees. They're in all of these different international forums talking about human rights violations in Australia, in America, China. This is a country that thinks nothing about the millions, tens of millions that have been killed at the hand of their government since they were created back in, 1949. I think in so many ways what this coronavirus year has shown us, 2020, has been the year of the weak and the woke. We have been automatically offended on behalf of others at everything. And in the case of China, we seem to jump at their every request, and there's plenty of them. Today they told the Prime Minister, you've got to apologise for standing for stuff. Well, I know, and certainly the Cold War taught me as a young man, that bullies fear those who actually stand firm, stand for stuff. China has, though, to their credit perhaps, created some action in the free world. Many countries like ours that are democracies, that believe in freedom, that put up with a free press calling the shots and making comments and criticising leaderships, those sorts of things that we can afford to chat about at barbecues. There are countries like ours, don't speak our languages necessarily. Maybe they're not white Anglo-Celtic, maybe they're from Asian backgrounds, but countries that have democracy at their heart, countries like Taiwan, they're all standing with us. Now we need some real action at home. And what I mean by that is we need to get our act in order. We need to stare down some of these international fora that are telling us the things we can and can't do. Whether we can build a dam here, oh no, you can't because you might upset some riparian corridor. Whether we can build a quarry there, oh no, you might breach some international agreement. Whether we can do this or that should be really judged by the people in this country, not by people in these Chinese-dominated international fora. We are weak, we are woke, and it's time we woke up. Keen to know what you think. #Hardgrave. You can also write me directly, gary.hardgrave@skynews.com.au.